Welcome to episode 2 of Elaboration of the Philosophy. The first episode, I had my brother David on. We talked about a few different experiences that we've kind of aligned with, both that we've had together, but also the same type of experience individually. For episode 2, I have the man himself, Nicky Arhakos. My boy, how you doing?
What's up, man? I'm hyped. This is so cool.
I'm hyped too. Yeah, Nicky. For those who don't know, Nicky Arhakos, also known as Nicky Resistance on Instagram. He is not only one of my really great friends and someone I consider a brother, but also the man who has pushed me in the direction of really taking action, and he's the reason why this is being recorded right now. So I guess if you have, I guess we can just get started. I guess I was gonna go in my mind. I wanted to talk about the challenge, like I told you before.
Wait, before we get started, I'm gonna change my name on Instagram.
Really,
gonna rebrand myself.
That's awesome. All right. I'm fucking.
Yeah, it's probably just gonna be my name.
Nice. All right, good shit. Alrighty, so. To start, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked David. So what is your philosophy, and what experiences have led you to the latest shift and change in your philosophy?
So my philosophy, now that's a crazy question. Dave said the same exact thing because I already listened to it.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy how many different avenues you can go down with this.
Yeah.
But my philosophy has changed so much within these past 2 to 3 years. I started really understanding a lot about mindset and just, your thought process throughout the day, and really inner work as well. Things that you don't really learn about in school. I learned a lot of this when I stopped going to school. And I was just really trying to figure out, what is life? Like, what are you trying to do here? And my philosophy, basically, I believe that everyone here has a purpose. And that purpose can be so simple as just, being down here and having fun and enjoying life. Or it could be something a lot harder, which honestly, I'll share you my purpose in life. Right now, my intuition is saying I'm here because in one of my last lives, I did not push myself and go for it all. Meaning I didn't go for my dreams and goals. And that's why I'm so ambitious during this life, because I think last life, or maybe a few lives ago, I was just not being pushed by myself and others because I knew I had the talents and the skills of whatever it was. And I think that in this life, I'm here and I'm ready. My soul is ready, and I believe that our soul has a purpose. Our soul is going into these human being bodies, and not even just human bodies. Like, there's so many different creatures on this earth that we can go into. And I think every single life has a purpose for your soul, because your soul is really trying to figure out its purpose through different life forms. And it's not even just here on earth. It's also space is infinite. Like, if you don't think there's any other life out there, I think you're being a little ignorant to I
think it's all like what David said in the last episode, which I really get, is that, and wow, I can't believe I forgot the words of it, but wow, I can't believe I've done this to myself.
It's cool, man. I've been
I guess
there.
You continue what you were saying, and then as I listen, it will come back.
Yeah, no, I was kind of finishing up, actually, so you kind of got it at the right point. But basically, I was just, saying how our soul just has so many opportunities in this universe. And really, if you're trying to figure out life, here's some advice I have for you. Just do good, put in the work, and the universe will absolutely love you. As long as you're doing good in the world, like if you follow religion, the one thing I love about religion is that they're like, hey, be a good person. Like, no matter what you're doing, you look at the 10 Commandments. I'm sure all these other religions have other stuff. I've never studied it.
It's much of the same story.
Yeah, the same stories
being told.
You want to follow the same rules and stuff, and I think that's probably the best thing. The only thing is that when I used to go to church, I know that the other stuff that you needed to work on, not just being nice to people, not just being a good person, but all of the mindset, how you think, how you're conscious about stuff, how you go from being an unconscious individual to really looking at life differently, all of those aspects of that human self that you have, I did not see that going on. So that's why for me I was like, man, I gotta like find something a little bit more energetic, a little bit more where it's a little bit more tangible in a way that you could actually feel it. But yeah, I mean, if you're really just trying to live your best life, just be a good person, you will be rewarded every time.
Yeah, I feel that being a good person, I guess really to yourself, like that's what I was even struggling with today, like even doing today's workout and doing work that I've been trying to get done at least daily, and like sitting with myself and not even feeling the best or really even good despite doing the things that quote I want to do, even though it's really Joe Boxer obligations to fulfill in some sense. But you know, like for me, like I realized like it's just the pressure is like there's so much pressure added on from the self, since there's so much conditioning that involves pressure. Like whether like it's weird because like it's involuntary, the pressure is gonna be there no matter what, because any kind of like conditioning or programming or information that you're gaining is gonna influence you in a way where you either there's attachment to it or there's fear of it, or like it's kind of both. And you know, like it's a crazy thing. Life is a crazy thing. And one thing that I've really thought about for what you said right now is, in my words, it's kind of the differentiation between experience, looking at, I guess, quote, life and death as experience, or looking at experience as life or death, and how, like, I guess it's, from what I interpret from what you've said about how our soul is finding purpose and how we find that through different lives in different forms. A lot of people, I feel, kind of look at this experience and they're like, all right, there's a beginning and an end, which is true because that's all like we kind of know presently, I guess.
100%, yeah.
But at the same time, like the video, The Egg, it's on YouTube. If you have never seen the video, it's an 8-minute video. Look it up. It's called The Egg. It's the best video that there is. You know, but like, we're all like, I feel like it's just so crazy. I can't even put it into words how I actually feel about this life sometimes.
This life, I love this life. I'm not gonna fucking lie. Like, I was really thinking about it because, you know, my goal in life really is to be the best mindset coach that ever lived. That ever lived. I am obsessed with it. I absolutely love it. And I cannot lie, like, there's not one other life right now that I've seen so far. Who knows? Maybe there's a person that hasn't been born yet, or there's somebody I haven't learned about. But there is no other life in this world that I'd rather live at this point. And that's where, like, every day I wake up and I'm like, hey, I don't really have it hard. I don't have it. And no matter what you're doing, like, find your thing. Find your thing,
whatever
and that's it.
It is.
Yeah,
like,
and just go for it. Like, what's the worst? Oh, you don't do that well and you die at some point, and then, oh shit, guess what? You have another chance because you're not actually dead. There's no such thing as being dead. You know, we attach these words and these emotions to each other, and then we get so scared over it. Like, what's the big deal about death? Everybody fucking dies. Well,
I think that's the problem. It's like there's like the one thing that people have no definitive, like there's no definitive return from death in the same form that you quote died in. So like when you see that, and like for me, death and the idea of death has changed definitely more so over the past couple of years.
Hell yeah.
Especially like when my dad passed away, it was everything, you know, like
why would that happen?
Exactly. It's like why would that happen?
To me, to my mom,
yeah,
and
to
like,
everyone. And then what I realized is that like as I've gotten older and as I've learned more information about how he lived his life and how he didn't really necessarily take care of himself, mentally and physically, I realized that it makes sense. Like a lot of things have, like it wouldn't have made sense if he were to be alive. Like I used to kind of think about what would it be like if he was still alive, and like one, that would be a totally different reality and I wouldn't be myself, but two, I also know that there might be people in my life that I love now that I would not trade to have him alive. It's just not worth his, I feel like it's not worth his expression to relive an experience that he did not learn the correct things from.
I think what the biggest takeaway I was just watching the Tony Robbins documentary. I fucking love this guy. And right before Joe walked in, I was watching something, and it was all about like the deeper understanding that no matter what happened, like the death was gonna happen to your father, and it makes sense because Ben would not be Ben.
Ben would not be Ben.
And I think that was like the first thing. It was Ben would not be Ben because Ben makes, good salary for himself, and like he helps so many people, the whole family.
I'm so grateful for Ben because he, as much as the dude stresses out, because I've seen it. I haven't seen it as much of late on an everyday basis because I'm not living in his space. But, you know, like, he traded, I guess, relief of stress to provide a foundation for, at the end of the day, like, he provided a foundation of allowing me to be who I wanted to be, not only for myself, but for others, like...
He allowed you to be a kid when you were a kid.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of kids that would have to go and work for a deli at 14 because they need to help out their mom to pay the bills. But he was like, you know what? Like, I got that. And now I don't know how old he was when your father died. But
I was 8.5. Ben turned 14 2 days after he passed away, and I think that
he didn't even live a fucking childhood.
Ben has definitely, the situation that we've been put in. He did a lot of growing up in a much faster pace than I've seen a lot of people in the societal conditioning have grown. I think his adolescence kind of went out the window. It was childhood, and then there was a little bit of adolescence, and then there was like, all right, but like because my dad died slowly and he was sick for a long time. So
I think you should explain like more, because if people don't understand, like,
like he. So basically, my dad was very sick for a long time, and he was sick mentally, physically. Once the physical, like, really started getting there, and he ultimately decided that it was not worth taking care of himself for many, 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 many reasons. You know, like, I was too young to really comprehend or understand the situation, and, like, I actively kind of, like, didn't really want to think about it, I guess. For Ben and Jen, and really Jen is, my sister Jenny is probably fucking the strongest person that I know, honestly. And for them, they watched it. Like they knew what was going on, they knew not only what was going on, but they were watching it. They were home the day that my dad died. You know, they did not go to school because they knew that, like, oh, he was gonna die today. But David and I went to school. We were in elementary school. It was
you guys are young.
I remember getting picked up at like 10:30 or 11 o'clock. I was in the lunchroom. And the lunch aides were like really like ready to, like, they were rushing me out. I was like, all right, I'm never going home early. I know something's up. I remember the exact staircase too. We went up. Basically, the back of PS 55 is on Koch Boulevard. You walk in the door, and there's a staircase that once you walk into the cafeteria, there's a staircase. Right, like, literally in exact alignment to the doorway that you walk in. I went up those stairs to the front of the building, out the door, and it was my grandparents who picked me up. So I was like, oh, all right, there's something not good. And then as soon as I got out of the car, my mom ran out, my sister ran out, and it was like, all right, like, that's what it is now. Like, from there, it was immediately... For me, it was, wow, like, he passed. Like, all right, like, my dad died. You know, like, after that, it was a lot of identifying with that. And, like, I've really heavily identified with his death. And there have been times when I've been really low, and I've even thought that, like, sometimes I'd rather be dead to see him. Like, there were thoughts that I attached to
like
very
at a young age. Wow, you like wanted that. To be dead to like meet him.
Yeah,
because that's the only way you thought you could talk to him and like communicate.
Yeah, wow. Literally, and what I've come to realize is that I wonder what it would be like, but at the same time, I feel that I am him. You know, like, there are moments when his like, I'll think about things, and then I'll look in the mirror and I'll be like, okay.
Like, you feel his presence, or like his tendencies?
Both, like, but, like, at the same time, I feel it as if I am that. Like, I am, sometimes I feel that it's so hard to really explain, because it's putting into words that don't mean what I'm trying to say. Because it's not necessarily him, it's me. Because, like, that's what I am, and that's what he is. Like, I am him, and he is me, and I'm David, and I'm Ben, and I'm Jen, and my mom, and they're all me in that respect. And, like, I've looked in the mirror at times, and I've seen Ben. And, like, I've seen David, and I've seen Jen, and, like, I've said things, and I felt it. I felt it as if I've heard it from them, and I got the feeling of, like, the feeling I get when I hear it from them. And then sometimes, like, I look in the mirror, and it's like, my dad's looking back at me. I'm like, it's all of them, dude. And then I'm like, oh, shit, like, it's just a whole like, it's a whole clusterfuck of, really, at the end of the day, just, like, streams of consciousness that are attached to.
Yeah.
You know?
It's very strange, because I've never, like, you guys are probably the only family that I know that, like, everyone is so similar. Like, everyone's on the same wavelength with everybody in your family. Even, like, now, how Joe, Tita, Dylan, Tita, all them moved in. Yeah. Like, it's still, like, you guys are still kind of, like, they got their own thing, but you guys are kind of merging in a way.
Yeah, I've
always, very cool.
Like, and we, like, I've known, like, Dylan was in my kindergarten class. So, like, I knew him before, like, I knew him 5 years before crazy, we were even brothers. And, like,
yeah, that's cool.
It's crazy because, like, I'll look at the five of us now, meaning me, Ben, David, Jen, my mom, and, like, like, I can't even describe the actual, like the similarities in our expressions of life, and, like, how, like, the four of us are the same, like, like, we the way things have manifested for us in terms of our streams of consciousness, especially that's been passed down generationally, have been very similar.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Do you think it would have been like this if your dad didn't pass away? No. So yeah, back to what I was saying in the beginning.
Not
like
at all.
this shit happened for a reason. Like
you know?
like your life. It's crazy to say, and like that it's actually. In a way, I guess it would be a little bit better.
I agree. You know, I think,
and like it hurts. It hurts me to say that to you, and it's
it's
rough.
what it is. Like no matter what hypothetical, no matter what if, like my dad's not here, his physical form of expression through Samuel Boxer is no longer around and hasn't been.
Longer around. Yeah.
And you know,
it's
like
gone.
For me, like that I've come to grips with the idea that his essence and how like the thoughts that consumed his head are not gone because those are passed down. That's the streams of consciousness that are passed down.
So you think it's all like
thing.
to you guys, and then okay, that's actually pretty fucking cool.
Like,
man.
I think that way for I think that's how consciousness kind of works.
Where like it gets passed from your family members?
In the physical manifestation of things, like because no matter what conditioning goes on through school and stuff, like a lot of your beliefs come from your parents. A lot of your thoughts come from your parents.
Yeah,
parents. Or whoever's raising you.
Whoever's you're around the most, and like
that's how you'll kind of manifest. Like that's how it's weird because there's only so much quote control or like perceived control that one actually has, but the more I think about it, like it's the amount of quote control that one being has in form is infinitesimally small, but it's not nothing.
What did you say?
Infinitesimally small.
Before that, the actual what?
Like form, I guess.
The form.
Like I feel like we are streams of consciousness that manifest through form. I get it's weird because like there's always like that experience. Like it's weird because there's always two sides of the coin of whatever like coin you're looking at, and then you realize that it's not only two sides, it's all the same shit. But more so with kind of streams of consciousness getting like passed down through generationally, like to me it's really the only thing that makes sense, and then when you have active ignorance towards that, and by active ignorance, I mean...
You don't receive it.
Not that you don't receive it, it's that... Okay, for example, a lot of things that my family has experienced, I would say more on my dad's side, because we don't know much about my mom's side. She is adopted, so we don't know, but in reality, like, there were things that were not addressed. And like when your ancestors don't address things, those things get passed down to you, and no matter what, you can blame them. You can tell them that they're horrible. But at the end of the day, like the thoughts are going to consume your mind, and you are the one to either A, attach to them and take them personally, B, actively ignore them, or C, take them by the hand, address it, and then chuck it.
Yeah, you got to work through that stuff. Yeah. My sister talks about it all the time. She's like, hey, man, like, I've been trying to go through, you know what the Akashic Record is?
No.
The Akashic Record is cool, man. It's that book over there if you look at it. So, basically, it's everything that has been and will be. Like, it's all infinite time, basically. And, you have to go through it, and you have to, like, heal yourself and heal your family and your ancestors through it, because if you don't heal it, then it keeps getting passed down, and if you don't do the internal work, like, it's just horrible for that next generation. And you really need to, like, work through it. And it sucks when you realize it, because most of the people who live in this world don't do that. So you're gonna have a fucking long ass time.
It's a cycle. It's
you're gonna have a long ass time to do all that shit.
It's the dreaded cycle of, you know, people not addressing and really, like, trying to deal with the thoughts that consume their mind and the experiences that they've had as traumatic, both things that you perceive yourself as a victim of and things that you were the perpetrator to a victim that like no matter what, at the end of the day, they're like, you need to heal. And like, for me, that's literally what the word healthy means. Break up the two words. Break it up. It's heal.
Thy.
And thy. We know what heal means, and thy means you. So heal yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta really.
Wow, I never thought of it like that.
You gotta do whatever it takes.
Cool.
That's inspiration from Alan Watts. Because the
you
one
read
word.
that in the book? I thought you came up with it.
I didn't read that.
That would have been really cool.
I came up with that
you did?
off of what he wrote in his book Cloud Hidden.
Okay, nice.
And what he wrote was like in a nutshell, if you look at the word disease, if you break up the word into two, you have dis-ease. Dis-ease causes stress and fear. And that, not in this country in particular, top 3 deaths, top 3 causes of deaths are heart attacks, heart disease, cancer, and then modern medicine. But we'll talk about that at a different time.
Modern medicine.
But number 1 and number 2 are internal diseases that are manifestations of extreme stress and fear.
Yeah, no, it's crazy seeing people, like, really making themselves sick. Like, during the coronavirus, there's so many people that wouldn't have got sick unless they were watching the news every day.
Exactly.
They would just, promote that fear and that anxiety, and now they are attaching that emotion to every single time you hear the word coronavirus. And the more you worry, the less sleep you get. The less you eat.
The less you eat, the less your immune system functions optimally, and then you get sick, and then you're like, oh, they were right. And it's like, no, you were programmed.
Yeah,
you were programmed to get sick.
But it's crazy because they don't do much. They give you, like, a little propaganda here and there. They're like, here, like, the coronavirus is really bad. And they just keep saying it over and over. But, like, you do most of the work. Like, you could read that every day. There's a bunch of people that they read that and they're like, no, I'm good. I don't believe that shit.
Yeah.
But it's really about the mindset and really being conscious about it.
I think
that's kind of like what I was saying with the church before, like, where everyone's being, like, really nice, but they go home, but they're actually assholes, but they don't realize it because they're unconscious. They're not self-aware of it. And it could really, like, fuck you up.
Self-awareness is the key.
Self-awareness really is the key.
Because no matter what, if you do good shit, cool. If you do bad shit, cool. If you recognize that what you've done puts out a certain energy that affects you in one way or another, whether it affects you in a way to protect yourself or in a way to grow and to change. Like, I guess really,
I think self-awareness combined with ego is, like, the ultimate thing. Because you could be self-aware, but your ego could be taking over, and you're just sitting there like, okay, what do I think about this?
Balance.
And here's a great example. Like, when somebody gives you advice on something, and now your ego, it comes in, and it's like, I don't need fucking advice.
Exactly.
I know exactly what I'm doing. And you could be self-aware, and then you could also be like, I'm self-aware, but that ego comes in, and you're like, yeah, I know what's up because I'm self-aware. And it's like, you have to be self-aware of not only what the conversation is about, but you have to be aware of your ego coming in, and, like, there's so much that goes into it. And, like, that's just the surface level right there. And then one
example that I want to give all of you is one that Nick already knows, but the way I'm going to explain it, he's going to kind of laugh about it. So, originally, I'm still going to record 3 episodes before I put out the first one, but originally it didn't work out with the one person that I wanted to do it with, and then I originally told Nikki, I'm like, yeah, like make that 2 episodes before it comes out, and like the first thing he texted me was like, all right, find a third person and record it, and I'm like, all right, and then I'm like, all right, like that's really what I should do, and that's the correct thing to do, because at the end of the day, like my ego is the self-awareness of like me using my ego in the incorrect way turns it on its head to like, all right, now what are you gonna do? Now I know that I'm using my ego in the incorrect way. So what's next? Do I either continue to use it incorrectly, or do I say, hey, stop hitting the hammer over my head and nail this nail into the wall?
It's crazy, the example I used and then what happened in real life, because that's literally it. Because it hits you first, it hits your ego, and your ego's like, nah, fuck that. And then when the self-awareness comes in that was the ego and you didn't even get a second to think about it, literally. Like 5 minutes later you're like, oh fuck, man, I do have to get a third person, because hey, you have resources. Like use all the resources that you have.
And it feels so good that now it's just like, all right, like I'm gonna record another one with that, and we're good. Like,
now you don't have to worry that next week now you have to do 4. Because now you're one behind.
Like, I'm one behind.
You don't want to start off one behind. That's the worst thing.
It's like you don't want to like, it's weird because like starting at -1 like doesn't give you the head, like not a head start, but like room to propel, like as if you were like trying to like, for example, jump as far as you can. You're gonna jump further if you have a running start and jump off 1 foot.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, you may land and break an ankle.
Yeah.
Especially if you try to land on 1 foot at the end. You know, so it feels good that like I decided that like basically fuck that shit. Like use the resources.
Use the resources, man. You were gonna interview Matt anyway. Well,
yeah, it's gonna happen at some time. Like,
so you might as well just get it done and like
literally. I guess from here, one question that I definitely have.
Nice.
Kind of, I guess, goes with what we've been talking about in terms of resources, but I guess, how do you feel about, like, the idea? Because for me, like, one thing I guess, 2 things that I really feel is that everything that there is that is tangible, that could be used, is not only a drug, but also a tool, simultaneously.
Okay.
And like, for example, I guess a lot of people use, and including myself, you know, TV, YouTube, any type of technological entertainment platform. And people use it as a tool and a resource. That's how it's interpreted in both good and bad ways. You know, you could be using it to promote social media. You promote your brand on social media. Or you say that you use it to de-stress by scrolling. Even though at the end of the day, that's programming, that's drugs. Like
that's actually creating more stress.
Exactly. Not only does it create more stress because you're not doing the things that you really want to do, and you're just subsiding the way you feel with the mindless scrolling and the short attention span. That's why I think attention spans are getting shorter.
Oh, by far, yeah.
Including mine, you know?
My attention span sucks.
Like, and technology and scrolling through and having smaller and smaller clips of things. You know,
and more frequently.
There's more frequency to it. There's a bunch of different feelings that you feel in the short term that really do that. I can't say do nothing, because they're doing everything when you're not like aware and you're not doing it. Like for me, like it's like, for example, TV. especially for the generation that precedes ours, like there's a lot of people who watch TV and like it's kind of like, all right, I'm going to work and then I'm going to go home and watch TV, and it's like that is a drug, which is okay.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that it has that psychoactive effect that draws you in like nothing else. Like, especially with technology, there's very few drugs that draw you in like technology.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Everything is a drug. I mean, even if you want to go like smaller scale, like things like this pillow right here.
Yeah.
This is a drug. I mean, I don't need to put my head on the pillow to go to sleep, but like now I kind of I'm so used to it. Imagine if you tried to go without sheets and a pillow, like,
and people
it's
do,
just the tools.
Yeah.
You abuse them, and then after a while, once it's not there, you go through drug withdrawals. Yeah, and you're like, oh shit, where's my pillow? Oh my god, I can't do this. And now
that is more persistent with the phones. I think the phones have become.
I can't go anywhere without my phone.
But that's because. But that's also because everyone has one, and we have this obligation that I have my phone, which my immediate people who I talk to. Now they can reach out to me.
Exactly.
But now not only that brings added pressure of, like, if I decided to throw my phone in the fucking trash and then buy a new one in a month from now, all hell would break loose in the sense that not only can I not get in contact with the people that I need to communicate with most, and they wouldn't be able to do that with me, which is the tool. That's the tool part of it.
Yeah.
The drug part comes where, one, the attachment to the phone. Two, when you communicate with people that aren't your direct people of connection, and there are people of interest that are potentially can cross the line of being people of interest to people of connection. There's obligation fulfillment through the phone communication.
Yeah.
And that's where the drug part comes in, because not only do you have this sense of direct communication, even though it is not really, it's not synchronous directly, it's asynchronous communication. But at the end of the day, like, I've experienced this. Mainly, this is the thought process that I had in my younger years. Now I've come to realize that I'm living my individual experience and others are living their individual experiences, but this is something that I used to struggle with, mainly, I guess, with girls. It was that anytime they were not down to talk, I was always anxious about it. And, like, that anxiety manifested itself in a not so great way in my first relationship. I'm very grateful, for Rachel. I could not pick any one person that is better for
your
first experience.
Yeah, I can say the same. Yeah, Liz was awesome.
I'm so grateful, but I also know that I've did a lot of projecting because I was not in a good place where I was always thinking about the state of the relationship, and then I got very anxious about that all the time. And I felt I felt that I was not necessarily at the quote top or even in the list of priorities on her end. And, like, for me, as much as I do feel that, I also know that that's on me for staying in a situation that I felt that I was worth more of.
You needed to change that state. You were staying in that anxious state
because
all you knew from the beginning, which
was the anxious state.
Yeah, was the anxious state. And it's so annoying because, like, I go through the same thing with girls. Like, I'll be a little anxious here and there. I'm like, did I say the right thing? Because I hate texting. I hate Tinder. I hate all these fucking dating apps because I can't talk on the phone because you don't get the facial reaction. You don't get the body either, the body language.
It's like for me, like it's FaceTime whenever, and that not only just for girls, but any really communication. I love FaceTiming because it's if I really need to talk to someone and I cannot be in their presence, but I can like see their face and still kind of talk to them in that realm, I'm good. And like I guess the quote worst way, but still not that bad, is Snapchat video. Like it's asynchronous still, but it's like, all right, like here's my face,
here's my face,
here's my mouth, here are the words that are coming out, and I'm talking to you in the best way I could with the tools that I'm using.
Yeah, no, it's really strange. Like, there's no tone on messages, so when you're going back and forth, I could be joking, you could be serious, and then that anxiety that you were talking about, it's all about just thinking into the future, basically, and that's where, like, were you aware of that while you were doing that?
No, yeah, I mean, for me, like, I was aware of a lot of the things that
but you just couldn't change it.
I guess the way I can really explain it is in my relationship with Rachel, I was very aware of the things that I was not doing right.
Yeah.
But that was because it was me who, like, I needed to do work that I wasn't doing. And at the end of the day, that was shit that I was projecting. And that's what we do when we don't work as beings, especially human beings, because we, for the most part, are the only life form, and of course, in the human sense, like the human being sense of the way we communicate. Like, we are the only ones who have this hypothetical sense or feeling of a situation that doesn't really exist. And, it's collective. That's why we feel it, because it's collectively in the air and it creates a new reality. Like this life is a crazy one, and when you don't handle your shit, you project.
Yeah, I actually just learned about projection, like, I don't know, like 3 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. And, like, I mean, I knew what it was, I just never knew the word itself.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting because what you're projecting really is what, like, the insecurity
It's the insecurity, yeah.
And, like, you don't realize it. You're not like, oh, yeah, like, this is, like, when you judge other people, like, if you were judging her for, you always said,
I was, and, like, one thing for me was that
that's in you.
I always was not good with Rachel, like, going out and hanging out with her friends for 2 reasons. One, I felt like it definitely took time away from us hanging out one-on-one, and not even as boyfriend and girlfriend and doing that, but, like, I also felt like there wasn't much time for us just hanging out as, like, friends in that sense. Like,
you didn't get just a day to chill. It was
and, like,
always...
but, like, it's not even that it was a day to chill, because I saw her every day. Like, I was on we were on campus. Like, I saw her every day.
But more like hanging out.
Like, more like, what am I doing tonight? In a month, maybe once, it was like, oh, I'm hanging with Rachel. Like, that's what we're doing tonight. And
that should have been way more often.
And, like, for me, I felt that it should have been way more often, but it was unfair of me to have the idea of the role that she had in my life, and how her role in my life led me to projecting a lot of things because it was something I didn't experience.
Did that gave you a lot of anxiety?
And it gave me a whole bunch of anxiety.
That was just translating from the other part of your girl life where it's like, I would talk to them, I wouldn't get a response, you get anxiety. Now your girlfriend's not even giving you the response. And but you're also not asking either.
And I'm not only am I not asking, it got to a point where I was definitely asking for more time to just, chill. And we definitely had the conversation of it not working multiple times before we ended up saying
it's just so hard sometimes.
It's very hard, but I'm grateful that it happened when it happened because
it's great experience, honestly.
One, it's a great experience, and two, what I've seen more than anything, which is crazy because it's really the one thing that I've always wanted was to see Rachel grow.
Oh, man.
And, I wanted to see not only her grow, but I wanted to see all of my friends grow. I wanted to see my friends who I've met through her grow. I wanted to see everyone. I wanted everyone to grow.
I want everyone
to grow all the time. And, now, what I have realized, and I was actually talking about it with Jenny yesterday, that growth that I wanted to see was not going to happen if
you were with her.
Not only if I was with her, but if anyone was. I felt that the growth really needs to be individual in the sense that
you could grow together, but it's not the growth that she needed. She didn't need to grow together with someone. She needed to find herself.
Rachel really needed to, find she needed to find what makes the essence of Rachel radiate. Love and life and happiness.
You gotta figure that out first. Before you do it with anybody else.
And for me, it's brought me into a state of really trying to work on myself and not committing to people of interest in the romantic partnership arena.
Yeah.
I'm starting to realize that it's part of kind of what I've done. And it's also rooted in childhood issues. I had this perception of my mom not necessarily being there all the time when she was there, all of the fucking time, all of the time.
It's weird.
Literally all the time. Why'd you think your perception was like that? Was it because of a different incident? I guess it was mainly, I would say that it was mainly not seeing her at baseball games, even though she was always driving my ass home. It was
She just had so many other people.
She had other people to deal with, work to do, life to live, to make sure that I can go play fucking baseball.
Yeah.
For me,
you could play baseball. Everyone else could do their own thing.
Exactly. And for me, I didn't realize it at a young age, so wasn't something that I could even fathom as a reason as to why I was thinking a certain way.
Yeah.
And for me, that also ties into me not necessarily, I didn't like when Rachel went out. Because the second reason was not only that attachment to a female in my life, but also my resentment for alcohol. And my deep resentment towards alcohol, and that I did not only project onto Rachel, but that was projected onto every motherfucker on the planet. And
this is amazing, honestly, listening to this.
Yeah,
because
it makes more sense.
You sharing this with people is just beautiful, because now people who have these deeper, darker secrets about themselves that they don't really explore, they can now start saying, oh shit, look how much it benefited him. Now he can move on from that. That
is my purpose, bro.
Yeah, I feel the same way, bro. I feel like I gotta fucking tell people everything about my life.
My purpose is to, that is why the name of this podcast, whatever it is, whatever anyone wants to call it, it's called Elaboration of the Philosophy, because the way you live your life is in essence, your philosophy and different experiences shape that. But where the self-awareness part comes in is really connecting the two and understanding that your experiences, thoughts, feelings, all of those things that are not right now, not only don't exist, quote, anymore, but like the way they exist is the way that you manifest your attachment to them. And if you attach to your thoughts in the way of, oh, this is a bad thought, put it in a box, never see it again. Put it in a box, never see it again. You'll never deal with your shit, but that will manifest. That will manifest internally. And no matter what, David and I were talking about this off of the podcast. I don't know if it was in the episode, if it bled into the episode,
I'll tell you
but
if it was, I listened to it.
But basically, like, no matter what, I feel that there's a point in this experience as human beings. I think like, I guess now part of my philosophy is that there's variables within the lessons that we learn through each type of experience, especially through form, but there are some that are fixed. One fixed lesson that I think every human being will learn, whether it's if they learn it 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, 40, 50, or right before you drop dead, you are making or have made things a lot harder than they have to be.
Oh, 100%.
That is
oh
a
my
lesson
God. Everyone,
yeah.
Everything, you make it so much harder. You know why you make it so much harder? Because you have shit to do. And you know what you do instead of doing the shit? Nothing.
Other shit!
You like, how many times have you woken up and you look at your phone and you're like, I'll get up in a few minutes. And then it's like 8 minutes later. You know, nothing drastic. It's 8 minutes.
It's several minutes later and you're like, what's next? What am I going to do? Am I going to go for another 8 minutes?
You started your day late. Now you're lazy and slow. And then you go throughout your morning routine. Now you're, thinking about, what do I have to do right now? And then everything just piles on top of each other, and we waste so much time. It's amazing, and I mean, there are some times though that you got to take it slow. I felt that. I mean, just with like what I'm doing with my life right now, there are days like I'll go like 4 days straight of just work, of just making sure I got everything done. And then, like, today, I'm just like, oh, my God.
That was me, bro. Chill, but I was stressing. I've been stressing out about, like, just trying to get shit done. And what I realized is, like, I actually brought my journal for this reason. But, like,
yeah.
I scheduled out my week this week on Monday. Like, I did Monday through Saturday.
That's
on different
awesome,
pages.
dude.
And, like, there was shit that, like, on Monday, out of the 10 things that I had written down, I got 8 of them done.
Oh, wow, nice.
80%. And the 2 things that I didn't do,
take that all day.
The 2 things that I did not do were write down my 2-page philosophy for this exact manifestation of what's going on right now, but to also create a list off of that. Those are the 2 things I didn't do. So I was like, all right,
so you just had to make another list.
Move that to Wednesday. To Tuesday. For Tuesday, out of the 8 things I got that I wanted to do, I got 6 of the 8 done. The 2 things that I didn't get done were the 2 same things that I did not do on Monday. You go to Wednesday. It shows how much of a priority it is.
Exactly. That's the thing. You're like, okay, like, I have other shit in my life that I gotta do. And writing this down, I do this every night before I go to bed. I make sure, like, what do I have to do tomorrow? First thing, what do I have to do?
Yeah.
That's the main part. You look at what you have to do, and then you say, okay, what are other things I can fit into my day that'll actually make it a lot better and a lot more efficient and effective?
Yeah, and
that's what you were doing with that. Those 2 things that you weren't getting done, it was like, okay, if I get it done, I get it done. If I don't, I don't. Like, it doesn't affect my entire life.
Literally, like, Wednesday, out of 8 things, I got 7 of the 8 things. Okay. I did get the philosophy stuff done, which is why I'm here right now. Yeah. The only thing I did not do was schedule with you and Matt.
And
That's the only thing I didn't do.
And that's easy stuff, bro.
Exactly.
That was 2 seconds with me. You're like, when you free? Tomorrow? Gotcha.
Exactly. And yesterday, it was much of the same. I had 9 things to do because I wrote down schedule with you and Matt twice. Yeah. But then I scheduled with you. I'm giving Matt a little bit of time because I know that he's got schoolwork and other shit going on. So I'll give him a little time to where I'll just be like, all right. And I already told him I wanted to record with him, so he knows we're just going to try and figure out when we're both good.
Wait, I wanted to comment on the control thing that you guys were talking about. Like, last podcast, who knows if you listened to it. If you didn't, they were talking about, Dave and Joe were talking about control. And I don't remember exactly what you guys were saying, but that's just an example of something that you tried your best with, Matt, but it was out of your control of what could happen.
Exactly.
And that's just like him looking. Look, he was if he's only going to be able to do 2 podcasts, no matter what, he was only doing 2 podcasts. But the thought of him asking, you never know. Like it might be a yes. So like it doesn't hurt to try. And like the universe is going to be like, okay, he's trying his best. Exactly. Okay, next week we're going to make it easier.
Yeah, and honestly, I guess this is a thought that I've had for a while, and I guess even for this episode, it's going to be put out, like, I guess, because, I guess I'm lazy-ish, but the one thing that from the jump, that I've actually, like, thought about for this podcast is to kind of, like, leave it unedited and, like, just let it be raw. In the sense that, like, you know, like, for me, like, in our conversations that we have, they bounce back and forth. There's a bunch of shit that, like, people may follow, people may not follow, but, like, I've realized at the end of the day, like, I'm doing this shit for me. I want to change the world through changing myself, and I think that's really my purpose, is not only to show everyone that, like, I think change is, like, that is what the purpose is for. That's, I guess, for this experience as humans, there's a fixed lesson that we all figure out whether we're alive or dropping dead for it. You know? And wow, see? Like that thought. Gone, totally gone. I cannot finish the second part of that thought. It's just gone.
Yo, that's so funny. That's happened to me so many times on podcasts. So I'm just like, whoa, what was I saying? Because now, like, you start thinking about other shit, and I think what you were really getting at is that, like, everything's connected. The whole, like, bro. If I cut out from 20 minutes to 30 minutes, that 10-minute portion, if I say something and now it comes back up in the conversation later, and that conversation is literally based off of what happened, the listener has no idea what the hell is going on.
Yeah, really I just want to give, like, at the end of the day, like, this is what I was gonna say. Like, I guess the almost not only like the fixed,
like the second fixed now.
Yes, because there's a fixed lesson, but there's also kind of a fixed purpose, and like the fixed purpose in the umbrella general term for everyone's finding their purpose in this experience is change.
Change. Yeah.
You're not going to find that purpose, and you're not going to almost not even find it, stumble upon it. This shit stumbles upon you. It's not something that you're taking your flashlight out you're going into a fucking cave looking for.
What's your full purpose? Like, I want to hear your absolute full purpose, not just helping people. Like, how are you helping people?
I feel that the one thing that I've always felt that I needed, and that's why I was in therapy for a little bit, and one day when I really, because for me, like, it's something that providing a platform for people to communicate and to have no judgment come back at them, like, there's that's like the one thing that everyone wishes to have in this world full of perceived judgment.
So you want to create something for people where there's no judgment at all, where you could have a conversation.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily that I want to create it to where I have 7.5 billion episodes of this, but I want to create.
But you just want to create an avenue for people.
I want to not only create an avenue for people, but I want to, like, in the same way that you want to be, I guess, the best life coach there is out there. For me, it's not necessarily being the quote the best, but like I want to change the game.
Oh yeah.
And not only do I want to change the game
effect,
and have the like that effect, like
yeah, nice.
Like we are the game, and like when you change the game, you change yourself. And like what I want people to realize is that there really is no true. There's no true wall or boundary that is put up that is blocking your way, that is A, not put up by you, and B, not put up with a foundation of fear. And like, at the end of the day, walls not only do, like, you know, like, I've struggled with my relationship with boundaries because I'm someone who I consider myself very open, but I do think boundaries are very important.
Oh my god, your boundaries with dates in my house are horrible.
There's no boundary.
I've never seen the worst boundary ever until you came over and expressed your love for dates. Yo, this kid like literally ate my whole box of dates, and I got this box from Costco, so it's definitely not a small container.
Bro, you're trying to tell me this as if the box wouldn't still be in there if I didn't eat all of them.
Yo, yeah, okay, that's true, but like back to the boundaries. That's how this started, bro. The boundaries is just like you saying, okay, like I have to slow down. I have to relax. Like I need to be kinder because like the better you are towards a person, like how many times have you wanted to get something and then like the person behind that was not, you know, on top of you or helping you before that you even entered that. Like so many people are so helpful even for free, and when they're helpful for not money purposes, like my thing is I am the most helpful with mindset stuff. That's why I'm like oh my god, like that's it, bro.
For me, like I feel that I've definitely been most helpful when I've gotten into conversations where it's like, all right, like, and this is something that David and I talked about. It was like, when I see people from my past, you know, high school, middle school, elementary school, it's like, we are going to reintroduce ourselves and we give each other the list, of course, of just like, oh, what have you been up to? But like, where I thrive is where it's like, all right, like, how are you? Like, how was your day today?
How are you really?
Don't
get me good.
Like, me at 19 years old.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For me, like, me at 19 years old is asking the person that is 19 years old that I haven't seen since I'm 12 how they're doing. For the 12-year-old relationship that we had, but picking it up at a time that two attention points of the same of a quote the same timeline that are not immediately experienced one after the other. You know, and that's as simple as me seeing you in 2 days.
Yeah.
You know, you lived the whole day that I wasn't there. You know, but for me, like,
24
I really thrive because, you know, my goal for this podcast is to talk about my experiences, understand that they, from here on out, are nothing but pieces of information that can be used to not only better myself and to shift my philosophy in a more loving, caring way for all, but to just understand that, hey, like, that past shit, like, there was a completely different person.
Yeah,
like,
completely different.
You know, like, for me, that's one thing I've struggled with, especially sharing, like, traumatic stuff, both being on the end of it and also being the perpetrator of things. Like, I struggled because I really worried about how people would feel through societal standards about me. And, like, at the end of the day, fuck that garbage. Like,
doesn't matter.
These motherfuckers don't have it figured out just as much as I don't have it figured out. Like,
oh man, nobody knows
and
anything.
Like, I was watching a video of Gary Vee short clip today. It was like,
they're awesome.
People, like, parents, don't have their shit figured out at 60. And then project their fucking 20-year-old to figure it the fuck out.
Yeah. No, it's so true. Like, that is such a great point. You know, that's probably the best example of projection. Just being like, hey, I don't know what the fuck I wanted to do, so you need to know what the fuck you
And they're not doing
do.
it for their kid. They're doing it for them.
They're doing it for them. They're living their life through their kids' lives. You know how many people they live, you know, you played sports, so growing up, how many fucking dads were like, their egos were just through the roof because their kid was really good at the sport, and they're like, yeah, that's my fucking kid, bro.
Like, for me,
I made that shit.
For me, when I have kids, I'm definitely going to be living through my kids especially with sports, like, hoping that my son or daughter is playing baseball or softball. Please. And if not, that's cool.
Yeah.
But still, like, I'm going to, like, for me, like, I understand when parents do that, you know, like, especially with whatever it is they've conditioned their kids to like because they're their kids. But, like, I don't want to do it in, like, I want to try to find the balance of really having my children improve, but also improve because they love to do it. You know, like, I want, like, there's no you don't want to have
to make them that way. Exactly. You want them to come out and learn
You want them to manifest their own shit into that. Like, you want, like...
Well, you could guide them, but you can't do it for them. So, like...
Yeah, and I don't want to... And, like, you can't put the pressure. Like, once they're like, hey, I'm not fit, it's like... All right, cool. What's the next direction we're going in? Like, let's do it. Let's do something. Like, you know, like, like, that's really the goal, you know? Like, but especially with my kids, it's like, I want them to experience, and I want everyone really to experience, not just my kids, but all kids and all people, to just kind of, you know, understand that there's shit to do, shit to be done, in good and bad equally. And, like, like, a lot of, you know, like, all of us were young kids who didn't understand shit at one point. And guess what? We're always going to be the kids who don't understand shit. At all points. Like, I'm going to be 85 years old one day. And I'm going to be a kid who does not understand shit.
Yeah. No, you always need to learn. It's amazing
always
how...
a learning.
You know what's crazy? When you see people that they're done with school, you know, they just graduate college, or, you know, they graduate high school and they go on to
learning
real life.
Stops.
Through, the next, like, 10 years, you see them 10 years later, they didn't progress at all. They're just the same exact person.
No change.
There's no change. There's no, like... instance that they're saying to themselves, I need to learn more, I need to grow in other places, I need to mentally understand myself and heal myself and really understand who I am, what my purpose is. A lot of people are just mindless, and it's really sad because there's so much potential. The person that said this was awesome. His name's Les Brown. He's like, picture yourself on your deathbed, and there's all the ideas around you that you wanted to act on, and guess what? The ghosts are there yelling at you because you didn't do shit. And you have to sit there as you're slowly dying for the next however long it is and just regret everything. And that's the biggest thing. The regret is terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's with regret, you know, it's like there's regret comes when you ultimately don't choose yourself first. You know, like this. I guess this will definitely be the talking point that we end on. But
is there anything that you wanted to get to? With me?
No, not really.
No.
Like I feel like I have despite I have this list and I have the whole page. Like it's like at the end of the day, this is always going to be a conversation that can never be planned out.
Oh, never.
Unless if there are certain breaks where it's like, all right, like there's a break. That point has ended. We can go to any other thing that we want to.
Yeah. Like when you get people that don't talk about the stuff all the time, that's probably what's gonna happen.
Exactly.
But me, I could go on forever with this shit.
We both can. We've done it, and we're gonna keep doing it, and we're gonna. There's never gonna be a point where we're not doing it, because that's the point. 100%, so I guess how I'm gonna end off is the same way I ended off with David, by really expressing my gratitude and my love for you, Nick.
Yes,
I really love you so
100%,
much, and I'm so grateful for your, not only the role that you've played in my life, but the presence that you have in my life, and those are two different things that not many people. A lot of people stay fixated with the roles, and then when someone's in your presence, they still fixate on the role. And like it's
the role is just the boundary that we create, and once you step outside of the role and I guess you find other roles that you could play around in. It's kind of like acting. You go from role to role, you see what fits the best, and
then you go from there. It's always a learning curve. It's the process of experience, and I'm grateful that you have not only been a part of that, but I don't see you not being a part of it.
Hell yeah,
and
man.
like
I feel the same way.
I can't imagine a life, a timeline of experience where it wasn't the case. So I'm just very grateful.
Dude, I'm grateful too. I'm grateful you fucking started the podcast. This shit's it's gonna be dope, man. It really is. Podcasts are awesome.
Doing this shit,
you're gonna learn so much.
I've realized that this exact thing is not only something that I've always done, but now I'm just recording it, and it will be something I do till the day I die.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you're always talking to people, having conversations, so why wouldn't you?
Why not? But
hey, man, I'm on, when we're like fucking 90.
When we're 90, girl.
Croaking out at 90, it's gonna be a cool episode.
Well, when we're 90, some people Benny might think, oh, we're only 60% done.
Who knows? Maybe we are.
But thank you guys for all who have tuned in and also stayed tuned in to episode 2, and I will see you very, very soon.
Peace out.